Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I actually got some news to share midweek after work, so hence this setup right here. But the Calgary Flames are making some changes to the coaching staff, as some speculation on after when Darryl Sutter took over as head coach, that you're wondering in the off season, will there be some changes to the coaching staff? And I'm going to say I like the changes that we at least have made behind the bench. As the biggest name that the Calgary Flames have added to their coaching staff is they hired associate coach Kirk Muller, a former, mostly synonymous with the Montreal Canadiens. So Kirk Muller is going to join the coaching staff with Darryl Sutter, as well as Cail MacLean. If you're wondering who is Cail MacLean, well, you can look back to the Stockton Heat, as the last 3 seasons he was the head coach of the Stockton Heat, and he actually was on the assistant coaching staff under Ryan Huska before Ryan Huska came up to the Calgary Flames coaching staff. So we have hired Kirk Muller as the associate coach, and we have added Cail MacLean as we promoted him from Stockton to become the assistant coach on the coaching staff. We'll touch on what's going to happen with Edwards and Martin Gelinas in the story, as they're not going to be back with the coaching staff. They're still going to be a part of the organization still. So if you look at the story right here, is that it says the Calgary Flames announced today that they have named Kirk Muller as an associate coach and Cail MacLean as an assistant coach. And as you might know, with Kirk Muller, I definitely remember him mostly associated with the Montreal Canadiens, both as a player and as a coach as well. As it talks about, as Muller has an extensive coaching resume that started off as an assistant coach with the Montreal Canadiens for 5 seasons, starting in 2006-2007 until 2010-2011, and then he became the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes from 2011 to 2012 through 23, 13, and 14. So he actually has some NHL coaching experience with Kirk Muller. He also spent 2 seasons with the St. Louis Blues in 14-15 before he came back to the Montreal Canadiens as an associate coach from 2016 to 17, and he had that position until this past February when the Montreal Canadiens decided to move on from Claude Julien, and Kirk Muller also was part of that move, so he was with the Montreal Canadiens up until this upcoming season. And as of this recording, all the Montreal Canadiens, who would have thought the Montreal Canadiens were going to be the team that was going to come out of the North All Canadian division going to the 3rd round? But I also touch upon that Kirk Muller, he is from Kingston, Ontario, same city as former Flame Doug Gilmour, as he played 19 seasons in the NHL, including some time as captain with the Montreal Canadiens, starting in 1984-85. He did start his career with the New Jersey Devils. I would say most notably he played for the Montreal Canadiens. He also played for New York Islanders, Toronto Maple Leafs, Florida Panthers, and he retired as a Dallas Star at the end of the 2002-03 season. And then he was actually the 2nd overall pick in 1984 by the New Jersey Devils. He's played over 1,349 career games, and he's a 6-time All-Star, and he was a member of the 1993 Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup. As if you look at his numbers, I mean, his playing career, I'm going to say his best season actually was the 1992-93 season with the Montreal Canadiens when they went on to win the Stanley Cup. Actually, in 80 games, he had 37 goals, 57 assists for 94 points and 77 penalty minutes. And then in 20 playoff games, ultimately being a part of the team that won the Stanley Cup, in 20 games, he had 10 goals, 7 assists for 17 points and 18 penalty minutes. Overall in his career, as mentioned, 1,349 games. He has scored 357 goals, 602 assists for 959 points and 1,223 penalty minutes, and then 127 Stanley Cup playoff games. He had 33 goals, 36 assists for 69 points, 153 penalty minutes, and he also played for the World Juniors in Canada in 1984, and he has on the 1914 Canada when they went to the Olympic Games when that Games was in Sarajevo. And he also played for the World Championships in 1985, 86, 87, 89. So he has represented Team Canada on many occasions. But I'm going to say definitely intrigued with Kirk Muller in terms of having that kind of experience behind the bench. So that is the biggest name, I'm going to say, headline the Calgary Flames with their coaching staff announcements for the, I guess now the 2021-22 season. So now for Cail MacLean, this is the first time he is coaching in the NHL at any level. As the past 3 seasons I mentioned, he was the head coach of the American Hockey League Stockton Heat. And speaking of the Stockton Heat, he actually will be playing back in Stockton next season for the American Hockey League. The Stockton Heat played up here in Calgary because of the border restrictions, but Stockton will be back playing in Stockton, California for next season. Be interesting to see who's going to be the head coach of the Stockton Heat now, as Cail MacLean actually followed Ryan Huska. He was the head coach and then he moved up to Calgary. So, as I say, during his whole time with the Stockton Heat, in the 3 seasons, he had a 72-65-16 record. And the 2021 season was his 8th season with the Flames organization. So he still was part of the organization when you count the time and he was with the Stockton Heat, but he also was with the Abbotsford Heat assistant coach when the team was in Abbotsford in 2011-13. And he also was 2 seasons of the ECHL's Adirondack Thunder. So he has worked his way up in the organization. When he was the assistant coach of the Adirondack Thunder 2 seasons prior to that. And then I mentioned he was the head coach of the Stockton Heat starting in 2018-19 when Ryan Huska came up here in Calgary. And then prior to his coaching career, he is from Nova Scotia. He had an 11-year career. He didn't play in the NHL, but he did play 747 games in the American Hockey League, the International Hockey League, and the East Coast Hockey League. So, as I say, Kirk Muller and Cail MacLean will both be joining Darryl Sutter's coaching staff, which still will have Ryan Huska. As I mentioned, he was with the Stockton Heat, so both Cail MacLean and Ryan Huska will be familiar with each other. And as well as goaltending coach Jason Labarbera, who's still going to be part of the staff, and video coach Jaime Pringle. So that's going to be the head coach under Darryl Sutter for the 2021-22 season. So what's going to happen with Ray Edwards and Martin Gelinas? They will not return to the coach staff. Or both those people are still going to be a part of the Calgary Flames organization. As Edwards, he will return to his previous role in player development, as after when Jeff Ward eventually became the interim head coach, Ray Edwards actually joined the coaching staff, came down to be behind the bench during the 1920 season and this past season. And then Martin Gelinas will also transition to a player development operation. So at least no one is leaving the organization. But I'm going to say with the addition of Kirk Muller, who is, you could say, is really the only new addition to the organization, because Kirk Muller has not been a part of the Calgary Flames organization. I'm going to say at least behind the bench, we're going to definitely have an upgrade, definitely bring in a lot more of experience. Both those time in the National Hockey League and already coaching in the National Hockey League, both in the assistant associate roles and even has some head coaching experience. And actually during the bubble in 2020 playoffs, when the Claude Julien actually had to take a medical leave, Kirk Muller took over as head coach. So I definitely think I like these moves. In terms of the coaching staff, I mean, ultimately it comes down to the players on the ice. The word is that Kirk Muller will definitely work with the power play and the forwards. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But what do you think of the coaching changes that the Calgary Flames made with Darryl Sutter? We figured this was inevitable, considering that Darryl Sutter came in, and basically he came in to replace Jeff Ward in the middle of last season. Under these unique circumstances, that you figured that there was likely going to be changes, that Darryl Sutter have a little more say when it comes to who he wants to bring in. But I'm going to say, also congratulations to Cail MacLean, just how he's worked his way up in the organization. But Kirk Muller is definitely going to be an interesting hire to see how he does. And I guess it's still nice to see that Ray Edwards and Martin Gelinas. I know all Flames fans still have a soft spot for Martin Gelinas for what he's done for the Calgary Flames. I mean, especially the 2 seasons that he played, and especially 03-04, and Martin Gelinas is also Gemini, and Gemini's role, as I like to say. But I'd say, what do you think of all these coaching changes under Darryl Sutter? He's definitely putting more of a stamp on the team, but we'll wait and see for any more off-season news, which, in terms of my video uploading, I mean, I've been a little slower lately because I have been doing more logging on the go, but right now things are still a little slower with Calgary sports. Well, now that we're in the off-season, and also football is going to be delayed, but I'm thinking after the Stampede, I should have more sports content, because we got the Seattle Kraken expansion draft to look forward to, then the NHL entry draft, and then free agent frenzy. And hopefully by then, CFL season will finally get going, and I think there'll be a separate video. I'll touch upon some CFL news that's expected to come shortly. But the Calgary Roughnecks will have to worry about navigating the expanded draft in the NLL with the Panther City Lacrosse. So there is going to slowly be some more sports content, but it's going to be a little delayed just, with all what's been going on. But I've been going to try also slow down a little bit just because of taking a little bit of a break. But I think I have some sports news, and there's a couple of videos I want to touch upon. After this one, probably, if you watch this right away, I'll probably record it the next day. I think we've got to talk about Team Canada and their IWHF and a Flame, what happened to him. And I might actually have to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. But with my vlogging on the go, I actually am still going to look back on all my schools that I have attended in the past. It's been fun to do that as well, just to have a different side of me and just to try some different content. So anyways, like to say, if you want to follow along this Calgary sports fan's journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, and this story was big enough that I figured it was warranted enough for me to make a video on it, especially after work during the week. But I also do a variety of non-sports content when I have had time, like personal vlogs, which I talk about whatever's on my mind, and attempt to comedy is what it is, try to be funny. And I also do share my experience today on the road or exploring, and hopefully maybe the COVID place will ever allow us to get to do that again. But I've touched upon that I've been doing some more vlogging on the go. And what I've been doing more recently is, well, it sounds like the COVID place will also might actually allow me to go bowling. So I've been looking at Calgary bowling alleys, but I've been reflecting on schools from the past that I attended. I've already looked at, a couple of elementary schools and my high school, but I've got a few more schools I want to look upon that I'll plan to do within the next few weeks, and hopefully get that all done before the Calgary Stampede. So if that all sounds like you'd be interested to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, you know what you do, just make sure you hit like and subscribe. I also have my other social medias down in the description below. So that's it for the story. Go Flames go, and I would say welcome to the Sea of Red, Kirk Muller, and congratulations on the promotion to Cail MacLean. So I guess we'll say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.